Hello, time for an afternoon edition, a Friday afternoon edition of Mornings with Stanley. Got Stanley right here. Lucy is right here on the floor. I'm not sure if she's going to get up. I think that they're wanting me to take them for a walk, but it's raining outside and I don't generally walk them in the rain. Or maybe they're just hanging out because they hate the rain and they're scared of the rain. Lucy, I think, is kind of afraid of the rain, so I'm not 100% sure if she wants to go for a walk or just wants to be near me because I'm her protector. Anyway, I guess I do an okay job of it. I just try to calm her down because 99% of the time, it's nothing. I remember when I was in Newcastle, it was about a month before I moved. I think it was around my birthday, actually, about this time of the year. My birthday's next week, by the way. I don't like birthdays anymore. But, excuse me. It was a Saturday night, and I was working on my sermon, and it was storming like crazy, and I was getting on my phone, and it looked like there was a cell going just north of us, a cell going just south of us, and it's just going to go, we're right in between the two cells. But I thought, well, I don't think there's anything to it. And then I decided, but then I thought, I think I'm going to go get in the closet. And I stood up, and Opie and Lucy were there with me, and I started heading towards the closet, and all of a sudden the pressure changed in the house, and there's a back door that the church put in while I was there. It just kind of sucked in, and then it was over. And I didn't ever go into the closet. But Stanley, Opie and Lucy, I guess we're okay. Anyway, I just got back on my, working on my sermon again, and then somebody knocked on my door and said, the roof of your church is out in the middle of the street. And I was like thinking, oh my goodness, the roof is just a tin covering was out on the street. So I called the DS. She came to worship with us, and it wasn't not near as bad as I made it out to be. Like thinking you could see the stars, but no, it's just the tin off the roof. Anyway, that was 10 years ago, about this time of the year. So anyway, that's the only time I've really felt like, and I guess some people said they saw a funnel cloud. Now, it was never actually officially, by the weather service, said it was a tornado, but probably was something that just went over the town. Luckily didn't hurt anybody or do too much damage. The most damage, I think, was to our church. Anyway, that's what we did. That's what happened. And then I moved not long after that. I did do some damage, I guess, to the Gene Church also. And that caused a little ruckus. Because in those small churches, you have official people, you have to put people on different committees, but in those little tiny churches, when there's been families, that church was run basically by two women. And and they just made all the decisions for everything, even though somebody else wasn't there for the decision, and they should have consulted him. I'll give him that. But they were just so used to just making the decisions and doing it, and they were the ones that paid all the money anyway. So anyway, the battle axe who gave me this book, Christian Maturity, was one of those two ladies. And Bonnie McGee was the other one. Bonnie McGee and Mary Faye Orr. Bonnie was, she's just a great lady. She married into the McGee family, of course, and her husband's cousin was a member of the church that I was associate pastor of in Wichita Falls. And when I found out I was moving, Evelyn McGee, and Dean McGee was his name. He went by Buddy and Gene, but everyone in Wichita knew him as Dean. He came in, or she came in and said, I heard you're moving to Gene. That's where I'm from. I think they got married in that church. And anyway, so it's good to have that little connection. You know, I moved to a different annual conference, but to have that connection from the McGees, who are just wonderful people. I mean, the McGees in Wichita, just great people, and the McGees and Gene, Newcastle area, just great people. Kenneth McGee was Bonnie's husband. He passed away, I guess, about 6 months after I left Newcastle. I went back up there, and so I ended up just singing at the funeral. I think that it was lots of first-time pastors go to the church there in Newcastle and Gene, and I think he was a little nervous about doing his first funeral, which we all are, and I think he did a great job. I think at first he was like wanting me to do it. I think he thought, so I'm just going to go on and do it. And of course he did a great job. You know, a lot of it's just fear. It's overcoming that fear. And so good people in Gene and Newcastle and Hico and Cleburne. I've just been so blessed with good churches. Today I went to the credit union and I refinanced my car loan because I just went on their website and they're doing this special deal that refinance. Lowered my interest rate by 2 percentage points and gave me $500 cash. So that's pretty cool, which I immediately deposited into my savings account. So that's cool. So my payments are going to go down a little bit. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Save me over $1,000 over the life of my loan. That's good. I had a bad car buying experience. I don't think I've ever talked about it. But I think it was 2 years ago today that I bought that car. It was the only thing good out of it. I just had a bad car buying experience. But I got a great car. I love my car. But I'm not going to spend another penny at that dealership. I guess I'm a participant in cancel culture. I'm canceling them. But I haven't tried to talk anybody else out of shopping there. But I do look down on somebody who does. That's not true. That's not true. I'm going to put Stanley out of the room and I'm going to go on. You know what? After all this year of reading Christian maturity and I say stuff like I just talked about, it's like, sometimes I'm just not very mature. Is that right, Stanley? You look at me like, you know, you're right. You're nodding your head. Yes, that's right. You're not very mature, Andy. Okay, Stanley, let's put you outside. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go, 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 go. Come on, outside. Outside, Stanley. Come on, come on. Come on. That's so long this is taking him. I wonder if it's because it's raining. Or he's mad because Lucy just gets to stay here on the floor. But Lucy's just going to sit there and stay on the floor. Here is our reading for today. Matthew 7, 21 through 27. I think this is the most number of verses we've had through all of the year-long reading of Christian Maturity by E. Stanley Jones. Here it is. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many deeds of power in your name? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Go away from me, you evil doers. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against that house and it fell. And great was its fall. The gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. Thanks be to God. And now our reading for the last Friday of Christian Maturity, the great book of devotions by E. Stanley Jones. Friday of week 52. Substituting eros for agape. We have defined an idol as something put in place of God. A substitute. Sometimes we substitute a half performance in place of an all-out performance, a whole promise comprised in execution. A whole promise compromised in execution. King Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people in Jerusalem to make a proclamation of liberty to them, that everyone should set free his Hebrew slaves, male and female, so that no one should enslave a Jew, his brother. And they obeyed and set them free. But afterward they turned around and took back the male and female slaves they had set free and brought them into subjection as slaves. That's Jeremiah 34, 8-11. Two things brought a blur instead of a blessing. They proclaimed liberty, not to slaves, but to Hebrew slaves, a blurred principle of liberty. And then the blurred principles became a blurred performance. They set them free and then took them back into bondage and inwardly enslaved themselves in doing so. They became slaves to inner conflict. The slaves enslaved the enslavers. They always do. Our substitutions of half performances for whole promises bring whole inner bondage. We become an inner battleground strewn with the wreckage of broken promises, half-fulfilled pledges, and taken back consecrations. We promised much, did little, and became less. We now come to the last of all the idols we will consider, the idol of the substitution of eros for agape. If agape love is the highest manifestation of the character of God, then any twisting or turning of that highest manifestation into something less and something other is the most serious idolatry of all. For it turns the very nature of God into something other than it is. It misrepresents God. Eros does that. It uses the word love, but puts it into the content of possessive love. I love for what I get out of it. And it says, in effect, God is like that. He loves for what God gets out of it. God is misrepresented by our representation. But agape love says, in effect, I don't want to get, I want to give. I love for nothing because I can't help it. For I am agape. Anything less than or other than that is a substitution. Here's our prayer for today. Oh, gracious Father, help me at this point. For if I get this wrong, everything goes wrong with it. Purify all my eros loves into agape love. I must come out in life at agape, or else forever remain immature. Help me here. Amen. And our affirmation for the day. If my love can mean either eros or agape, I have settled for something this side of the best. Jesus is Lord.